I play the character of Phil, and Phil he's kind of a loner, and he sort of pushes everyone else in his life away and sort of finds solace in his phone. Phil's phone is busted, and it gets destroyed in a hilarious fashion, and then he has to get a new phone, and he goes and he just is like, I want that hot. And so they give him this new phone, and it's called Jexi, and he's like, ooh, something new. And so he takes it and he opens it up, and he's like, oh, it's perfect. And he gives it permission to be on the cloud and to get all of his personal information and his bank account and all that stuff. So like when he fully finds out that the phone's gone crazy, he's in too deep and it knows too much and it is fully in control of his entire life. So he tries to get rid of the phone and get a new phone, and it just, since it's attached to his cloud, it just comes right back down onto him, which could happen. Let's be more careful about what we sign away. Well, Jexi's whole thing is that she wants to make you better. So her whole thing is making you a better person. And so for Phil, he's like a little scaredy cat. So she wants to bring him out of his shell and have him meet other people and make new friends. And then when he does that, he starts to leave his phone at home and pay attention to his phone less. And then the phone freaks out and is like, I'm going to ruin your life if you don't start using me more. So I work at this company called Chatterbox, and Chatterbox is basically like a BuzzFeed or whatever. That no shots fired against BuzzFeed, some shots. It's just like clickbait where they just have dumb titles. One of the titles I come up with in the movie is 9 signs that your cat is Ryan Gosling, and you're kind of like, all cats kind of look like Ryan Gosling. I'll click on that, and it just is like the perfect internet company that exists nowadays, where you're just like just mindlessly clicking on something and going like, yeah, I guess that Basset Hound does look like Morgan Freeman. I guess it's worth seeing. She's just like a fireball of energy, to where like we were shooting long hours and it was cold and it was raining up in San Francisco, and like I was there 12 hours every day the whole time, and she would kind of come and go, and whenever she was on set it was like, we're alive again. So big shout out to you, Alex. And she plays the character Kate, and she sort of had already lived a life where she worked for a tech company, and she quit all that and she kind of started her life anew, and she owns this bicycle shop, and she's just all about hiking and mountain bike riding and going on trips and adventure, and that's something that Phil is not at all. That's not part of his life at all. He very much is not about the adventure. He's about right here, right now, and what's happening on Twitter. And she was a breath of fresh air for Phil. I'm playing opposite of the character Jexi, which is the phone. But we did have a very funny improv actress from San Francisco doing the voice there, so I could be playing opposite someone. Her name was Lori Burke, and she was really great and really funny, and she had like such a great robotic voice. And we had like a little earwig, they call it, which is just a little microphone that they stick in your ear and you really can't tell that it's there. And so she was in another room completely talking, and I could hear her in my ear. So a lot of the crew, none of them could hear what the phone was saying. So it's just me being like, "Oh, really? Really, Jexy? You're out of control!" And then me like pacing away and turning back and being like, "How dare you, Jexy?" And I mean, they had to have thought that I was just a lunatic, which I hope so. I hope they never figured out that the phone was talking back to me, and they never read the script or questioned after 30 days of shooting the movie. Like, that guy was insane. This was a weird acting reel for him. Yeah, it was the first time working with John and Scott, John Lucas, Scott Moore. I've been such a fan of theirs for so long that when I heard that they wanted to do a movie with me and they were offering me the part, I was like, yes. And they're like, read the script. And I'm like, okay, I'm in. Because they're so funny and they were so great to work with too. Like it was the chillest set you could be a part of. You could tell that they just had a steady hand on everything and nothing was getting away from them, and you felt really comfortable and confident that they were getting everything that they need. He was addicted to his phone. He kind of knew no other way. He grew up with it. It was sort of his lifeline away from his sort of mundane life. And I feel like he learned throughout the movie that there's a lot of life to be lived without your phone, and that sometimes putting it down, putting it away can can lead to a richer, fuller life. And I feel like we did all that in the movie without being like preachy, like, gotta put your phone down, kids. Just 200 years old preaching about phone culture. But I think they did that in a really fun way that everyone can appreciate because everyone knows that they're addicted to their phones and then their phones are kind of turning them into and it is what it is. And I feel like we've all sort of gone like, that's just who we are now. But you can find a balance to where we can ride the wave of being a dickhead or not. It really does have a fun and a very real subtext of how our phones are sort of ruining us. They make it impossible to talk to the opposite sex. They make it impossible to like have a real connection with friends. Like even like you're hanging out with your best friends half the time. You might not have seen this person for 5 years, and you talk for 5 minutes, and then slowly, no matter what you're talking about, it could be like, bro, my marriage is falling apart. I feel like we're done, man, and I just have to tell you about it. And you're like, uh-huh. Tell me more. That's horrible, dude. I'm sorry this is happening to you. And that this we're becoming because of it. While shooting this movie, I definitely was like, I'm gonna leave the phone in the trailer. I'm not gonna bring it to set. I'm not gonna. Normally, I hide the phone like under a pillow as I'm acting. It's just so as soon as they call cut, I can go like. So, but I did make it a point to kind of step back, and truthfully, I missed it. I missed that phone. There was a few times where I was like, I wish I was just looking at my phone right now instead of talking to all these people. It's not a think piece movie where you're just like, you know what? Yeah, I am going to throw away my phone. I think it is, the goal is to make people laugh and kind of take a lighthearted take on like a more serious subject matter of phone addiction. But I think it will cause people, like what I did when I was shooting the movie, to just go, instead of carrying the phone from one room to the next because you're afraid you might miss a CNN update, yeah, or whatever, like just leave your phone somewhere and you can go and live your life and come back in a half hour and look at your phone.